I'm sure Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell would have been thrilled if Cam Bynum had gotten injured while trying to execute that celebration. And, I mean, we've seen that before.
Debbie Downer. Can we have that infused into that when Dr. Doom comes in?
Just wait till it happens. Wait till it happens. It's all funny. It's all entertaining until somebody blows out an ACL during a celebration. That's fine. Just wait till it happens.
Okay.
They got enough things that can injure them within the confines of the game. They're going to around.
You got enough things to worry about rather than a bunch of young men worrying about their touchdown celebrations. There's other things to worry about and poo-poo in the world.
Sorry if I'm concerned about their
things on Sunday.
No, here's the thing. It's hard. It's hard to get people concerned about their health and safety if they show no concern.
Exactly. So shut the up and don't worry about it. You said it right. Boom. They're not worried about it. Don't you? Just host a damn podcast and enjoy the show and the ride while you're involved in it. Thank you very much.
It's amazing how
Dr.
quickly
Doom
he can turn something around when he wants to stir shit. Oh, we didn't have time to do that. You had time to do that. It was only like 90 minutes. All right. Welcome to the PFTPM Chris Simms Unbuttoned
a great opening,
podcast delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Pizza. Wah, wah.
The other reason I'm frustrated, I sent the suggested opening. I thought there was this great clip. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know it was later in the show. I thought we were going to open.
Damn, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. Wrong side. What happened last night? You get murdered in a dream? Something? Somebody beat your ass in the dream? What happened? Holy crap! You're mad about everything today.
What a weird saying that is. You woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I remember that when I was a kid.
I know.
And I remember like running through the analysis after my mother said it to me. It's like, why would that make you like?
Why would that side of the bed make me angry?
World? Like, yeah.
Right.
All right. Here we go. I'm not angry about my picks from last week, although against the spread was not good, not up to my standard so far this year. Straight up 9-4. Oh, I prefer the Heat Miser to.
Oh, wow.
What's the other one? The Cold Miser,
great.
Ice Miser, Snow Miser, Snow Miser. Bump. Yes, well done. God, I really do look like the Heat Miser. That's not much of a stretch.
It's an improvement for me. I mean, it's better than Sasquatch, so I'll take this.
I think the hair. I should try that hair. I could pull that hair off. Anyway, 9-5, 9-4, 8-5. We both were 6-1 against the spread, which stinks. I've got an 18-game lead against the spread. I'm back to 4 games straight up. I'm about to concede best bets because I just suck at best bets. No matter what I do, I can't pick my favorite best correctly.
Yeah, it's the
I
hard.
can't do
We've
it.
talked about that before. You get 3 or 4 or 5, or you go, "Ooh, I like this," and you hope you pick the right ones there. That's to me the hardest part about the whole thing, certainly. But I mean, come on, your record on everything there is pretty damn good. I mean, it's pretty
except
strong.
best bets.
Except
I'm 4
for
games under best
except
bets.
for best bets, and I'm hoping that continues so I can just win that one nicely and then come back on you on the straight up area there. But wait, real quick too, off those pictures. You ever watch like the old Christmas movies, shows, any of that? Do you watch that this time of the year?
I've reached my lifetime limit of the things that like you go through as the kid. You love The Grinch. That was my favorite.
No, really?
If I recall correctly, what was the show that Heat Miser and Snow Miser was from? Was it The Year Without a Santa Claus?
I think it's something like that. I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I loved that. I loved Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But then you go through the nostalgia when you're in your 30s and you rediscover those things. And then once you go through that, that's it. There's no, maybe if and whenever I have grandkids, we'll do it again. But I like some of the Christmas movies like Bad Santa, the all-time greatest holiday movie
know you
ever
love
made.
that.
We'll watch It's a Wonderful Life at some point, which is diametrically opposed to all the messaging of Bad Santa. So that's part of the Christmas experience. But the shows, they just don't do it for me anymore. They used to, but not anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Because it used to be an event.
Right.
It was like The Grinch is on one time and one time only. Friday night, December 7th at 8 o'clock Eastern on CBS.
Yeah.
And if you're not in front of your TV, you're f***ed.
Yeah.
So, and now you can just press a button and watch it anywhere. So
I know.
it's not special
I
because
know.
it used to be like, you're standing outside waiting for Haley's Comet to go by.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a different time. Everything's at our access, or right there for us just to touch and get at any point now. I like to put it on
games to do.
Yeah, I know. Last night, background Frosty the Snowman was on NBC. And I just put it on, and not that I'm sitting there watching every word, but it just adds to the spirit of the night, whatever. That's what I kind of like that stuff for. Tonight on NBC is actually Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer at 8 p.m., just to let you know, in case you want to tune in and watch just before, Thursday Night Football starts.
Wait, it's at the same time. I guess I could put Rudolph on the second
for 15 minutes. 15 minutes, because Thursday night they don't kick off till about 8:15, 8:16.
8:15.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Right.
I'll be getting back from Little Caesars with my crazy puffs and my wings.
Good.
We were talking about the wings yesterday. The Little Caesars actually buys normal-sized chickens, not the hormone-infused chickens with the giant
Respect,
drums
Little
and
Caesars.
flats.
Respect.
They're normal size. So thank you for Little Caesars getting real chickens, actual chickens, not adulterated by HGH or any other hormones. All right, let's get to it. Every week this season, you can play along with us. DraftKings has set up the free $1,000 Florio and Simms Pick'em Pool. Pick every game against the spread for a chance at a $1,000 prize pool every single week.
Download the DraftKings app and click on the pool tab and enter the Florio and Simms free $1,000 Pick'em Pool to make your picks.
And just like us and Cornholio, you must enter all of your picks before kickoff of the first game of the week on Thursday night. So tonight, it's coming tonight. Hot damn tonight. No more buys. 16 games a week for the final 4 weeks of the season. It is the LA Rams at the San Francisco 49ers. The spread is down from 3 to 2.5. That's the margin for the 49ers. Over under of 49. Interesting game. We talked about it during PFT Live. Chris, it's time to make your pick.
I think the biggest thing I look at for the game and what decides it, right, is the 49ers run game. Are they going to be able to run the ball on this Rams defense? That's the big question to me. The Rams did really well last week as far as stopping the run of the Buffalo Bills. But we know Buffalo also, if it doesn't work out they're early in the game, they're kind of all right, just get the ball to 17 and let him start making magic and throw the ball around the football field. But can the 49ers run the ball on this front? Because I think if it becomes a game where they can't really run, right, they're not getting anything going there. Now the play action doesn't quite have that effect. I don't think the 49ers are good enough in the pass game for it just to stand alone and then win the game just with the drop back passing game against this Rams defense. Rams defense is not, like we've talked about in the past, not super talented in the back end, right? They play zones. They know how to pass people off. Their front is getting better. You're seeing more and more pressure from them. The 49ers, there's no Trent Williams once again. And I think the other thing, too, I just look at in this one, 49ers defense statistically good. I don't think it's as good as it's statistically ranked as far as the number 3 defense in football. And I think the Rams offense is hitting on all cylinders right now. I have less worries about what I'm going to get from the Rams rather than the 49ers, who have kind of been up and down. And I know they won big time last week, but that a little bit I'm not sure I buy it. It was the Bears, fired coach, dysfunctional things going on. I'm going to ride the Rams here in the hot hand, 27-23.
There's several games this week that I've been fretting about.
I know. This is one of them.
The schedule crosses my mind.
Right.
Which way is it going to go? And as we talked it through this morning, there's a couple of different factors that come into play here.
Yeah.
Number one, the 49ers are more desperate than the Rams.
Right.
That's one. And that's real. 49ers, this is it. They're at home. This is it. If they lose this, they're probably done. The Rams could lose this and still find a way to pull the rabbit out of the hat. There's a little more desperation for the 49ers. Second, they are at home. I think they'll be buoyed by their home crowd.
Sure.
Third, they blew the game back in week 3 where they had the Rams beaten. I know the Rams weren't as healthy then. The Rams weren't as potent then.
Right.
But still, the 49ers believe they can beat the Rams. Doesn't Shanahan have that regular season mastery over McVay?
Yeah.
Isn't that the way it goes?
It's like 8-2 or something like that. Yeah.
That's factor 4. And then factor 5, 42-44. All those points scored in the game played by the Rams on Sunday. I feel like
I hear you there.
With only 3 days off in between games, it's just too much physical toll and fatigue for the Rams to overcome. I've got 27-21 49ers. Hey, Kyle. Your buddy doesn't believe in you tonight, but the guy who writes the annoying headlines does. What are you going to say about that, Kyle? What do you think, Kyle? All right. Anything else on that one?
No. I mean, you make good points. Certainly, I think it's going to be a back and forth football game. I even thought about making it a little bit more high scoring than this. But it's Thursday night. I sometimes, like you always hear me say, guys like McVay and Shanahan take away those few extra days of creative game planning. I do think hurts them a little bit. And here's one other thing. Can the 49ers get pressure on the Rams without blitzing? That'll be the other thing to watch. With no big Nick Bosa, no blue-chip D linemen that can really create havoc for them right now. If they have to blitz with, like you talked about, this healthy Rams team, I think that they're going to be in a compromised position. We'll see where that goes. But awesome Thursday night game. I'm really pumped about it.
You know, I had a flashback to the first year that Kyle and McVay were with their respective teams. They got together on a Thursday night in September. Do you remember that one? 2017?
Yeah.
41-39?
Yeah, I do remember
that. With backup quarterbacks,
wow.
I think, for both teams.
Nick
Wasn't
Mullins?
it backup quarterbacks?
I think it might
No,
have
it was
been.
Jared Goff. It was Jared Goff for the Rams, but I think it was it was Brian Hoyer.
2017, Hoyer's the starter.
Hoyer.
Right.
2017, Brian Hoyer. 41-39, the Rams won that game. It was just back and forth crazy game. The highest scoring at the time Thursday night game. And I don't know if that still stands. I haven't checked. But I remember that one, and that was from their first year, and that was one night that the Rams got the better of the 49ers because they had the better team at the time. The 49ers were still trying to turn around the roster and establish something. All right, Sunday, Cowboys at the Panthers. Your eyes do not deceive you if you see Panthers -3. The woeful, lowly, dysfunctional Panthers are favored by 3 points over the not quite as lowly, not quite as dysfunctional Dallas Cowboys. I don't understand this one. And 85% of the spread money is on Carolina. Chris, are you on Carolina?
I'm not going to be on Carolina. I am also a little shocked that they're favored by this much. I mean, I guess I could have figured they were maybe favored by a point, something like that. But, yeah, I wasn't expecting to see them being favored at all. I look at Dallas and the way they're running the football, they're finding ways to get the ball in CeeDee Lamb's hands. I know there was people talking like, will we see Trey Lance? No, Cooper Rush has been fine. He's not the problem here. They could have won that game the other night. They made mistakes. And the other side of that, too, is I just go, Dallas's defense is a little better than people are giving it credit for here. And I do think that they'll be able to slow down the run with the way they can kind of crowd the line of scrimmage with people. And the biggest thing is because of Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs, I think they're going to feel fine about crowding the line of scrimmage to stop Chubba Hubbard in the running game. So I because of that, and again, this won't be a best bet, I'm going to take the Cowboys here. The Cowboys have continued to fight and play hard and be disruptive and hang in there in football games. I think this is one where the team they're playing, they can pull it out. I'm going to go to Cowboys 20-17.
I agree with you on that, and I'm just stunned by this. I feel like I'm missing something. I've got Cowboys 24-20. I don't know why anybody would believe in the Panthers. I know that they haven't been embarrassed, but they still haven't figured out a way to win. And the Cowboys are not nearly as bad as we thought they were a few weeks ago. They have some self-inflicted wounds, like the Leon Lett homage from Monday night that prevented them from beating the Cincinnati Bengals. They had won 2 games in a row. I don't get it. They beat the Commanders in Washington. I think if they can beat the Commanders in Washington, they can beat the Panthers in Carolina. 24-20 for me. All right, Chiefs at the Browns. And the Browns is the Browns at 3-10. But we know the Chiefs typically don't blow anyone out. 4-point favorites are the Kansas City Chiefs with an over-under of 44. Who you got?
Like, believe it or not, this is a game I've kind of gone back and forth with. I have a little bit. Right? We talk about matchups sometimes in a matchup league. How can you not be worried about Kansas City's O-line against this group this week? This D-line. Myles Garrett going to be lining up over whoever it is playing left tackle that won't be good enough to block him. Right? Then the other aspect, what we talk about with Cleveland's defense all the time. Cleveland, they play man-to-man. They can lock people down. This is a team they definitely can lock down. Who the hell are they going to be really worried about at receiver that's going to run by them? So that I don't think that's an issue. And like I've always told you, I'm not ready to say Xavier Worthy is a consistent presence that way to where you can bet on that. I know he's got speed, but it doesn't show up that much. The other side of the ball, right? I also think Cleveland matches up pretty well with Kansas City. Kansas City likes to crowd the line of scrimmage. They also like to play aggressive. Cleveland's offensive line is not all that bad. Their running game's not perfect. But the biggest thing is, if they're going to play these aggressive coverages in Kansas City, I would worry about that with Jameis Winston throwing the ball to Jerry Jeudy and company, and they can have big yardage. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it again. I think I picked against them the last 2 weeks, or at least last week I did. I'm going with the upset here. There's one game I look at every week to go, I think there could be an upset. I'm going to pick the Browns to pull it off. At home, the Chiefs looking at it down the barrel of 3 games in 11 days. Oh, it's the Browns. We'll run over them, no problem. I think they match up. I'm going to take this one that the Browns are ready to play, even though they got nothing to play for.
What's your score? Do you have a score?
Oh, I'm sorry. I go 24-20 Browns.
I've got 23-20 the other way.
Yeah. So you have some thoughts that I do, but you're just not.
I do.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I have on multiple occasions. I've picked the Chiefs to win,
right,
but not cover. They are, when they're favored by over a field goal, as they are in this game, they're 10-0 straight up and 2-8 against the spread. 2-8 against the spread when they're favored by 4 or more points, or I guess 3.5 or more points. And look, I had the Chargers covering as one of my best bets last week, even though I picked the Chiefs to win. And what a difference that doinked field goal that fell in made, because you and I disagreed on that game, and it came down to that kick. But it's just this idea that the Chiefs are inevitable. They find a way to win, and they'll find a way to win in Cleveland. The Browns are teetering on the brink of implosion late in the season. I know Jameis Winston is fun, and it should be a fun game because the Chiefs make every game fun because they play with their food.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, they find a way to win. And they do have a little breathing room because the Bills lost last week, but still, they find a way to win because they've got tougher games on the horizon. They've got the Texans on Saturday and then the Steelers 4 days after that. They play 3 games between Sunday and the following Wednesday. Yep. This is the one they need to focus on and win.
It won't be a best bet, that's for sure. I'm playing a little bit of a hunch, pasta and meatballs, and that
will it be a best bet though?
It could be best bet depending on who plays well there. But yeah, they beat the Ravens and the Steelers at home, and I'm going to follow that lead here and get another big win at home.
Dolphins are at Houston. Texans coming out of the bye. The Texans are still in first place in the AFC South. It feels inevitable they're going to win that division. The Dolphins trying to pull their way into the wild card conversation. 3 teams with 8-5 records. Dolphins at 6-7. Texans favored by 3. This is a rare occasion for the Texans to be going against a kind of good team. They're not on the road. But the Dolphins, who are on the road, aren't going to be out in the cold in December. 3-point favorites are the home team. 47-point over-under. Who you got?
Yeah, it's a good place for Miami to play, to your point, right? It's a fast track. It's inside. It's going to be conducive to what they want. That's for sure. I look at the Houston Texans D. Miami's going to feel good and go, well, a lot of our rules and things we want to do carry over because we just played the Jets. So it's a very similar scheme, if not exact almost, to where they're going to have a good feel for this and what the Texans do in certain situations and all that, let alone I'm just a big believer in the way Miami plays and these quick, short passes that kind of get on the edge and do all that. It is the hardest thing for that Seattle scheme to defend because it's a zone and they kind of spread out. And if you can find little ways to hit in between 2 or 3 guys here and there, which Miami usually can, it becomes tough sledding for that Texans defense. And then on the other side of the ball, I just don't trust the Texans offense. And I still think this is a good Miami defense. And I don't know if there's enough of a versatility in the Texans offense to stress out the Dolphins defense, even to the same way the New York Jets offense did last week. Like you've heard me say, the Texans, I worry about their offense, what it does. It's elementary version of Kyle Shanahan's offense, and it's been exposed. And I'm going to go with the Dolphins winning this one on the road 24-20, Mike.
I got 27-24 Dolphins. Because the Texans still haven't convinced me. They did beat the Bills.
Yep.
Back in week 4, I think.
But that's the only one you can go
like
at. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have a signature road win. I know this isn't on the road, but this is different for the Dolphins too because they struggle on the road, but not when the conditions are pristine. It's not about being on the road. It's about being in elements or weather or whatever that will cause you to not be able to run your Harlem Globetrotters offense, which is impressive. And Tua Tagovailoa can run it like no one else. They'll have a chance to do that, and I think they'll pull off the win. The Texans have, they're coming out of the bye week, late bye. They have a little cushion here.
Yeah.
They're going to
how
coast
urgent
into the playoffs.
will they be? Right.
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 Right. All right. Jets at the Jaguars. No urgency here. 3-10 versus 3-10. Jets are favored by 3 in Jacksonville. Aaron Rodgers versus Michael McCorkle-Jones. 40.5 over/under. That's the lowest of the week. The Jets are 7-5-1 against the spread, despite their 3-10 record. Do you have the Jets? This weekend?
I do. Well, the Jaguars defense stinks. The Jets offense has actually been pretty good the last 3 or 4 football games. I have no faith in the Jaguars on the offensive side of the ball and their ability to really sustain drives or do anything. The only thing you kind of look at is just go, will Brian Thomas, the receiver for the Jaguars, will he make some big plays? Because he seems to be the only consistent big-time playmaker on that offense. But, I'm looking at this. The Jets, I still think, are playing. The fact that Rodgers is their quarterback, I think, keeps them on the straight and narrow a little bit about, hey, let's win, let's be professional. He is going to have that pride. If he does want to play another year, he's not looking to look like shit or play like shit or do anything like that. And I think Jacksonville is just basically about done. They got their win last week, right? They're not going to like coming up here to New York in the cold weather. It's going to be cold here this weekend. I'm going Jets 27-17.
It's Jaguar. They're in Jacksonville.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. My bad.
You want to change it?
No, I'm not going to change it either way. Didn't matter that much. I just looked at the schedule there at the very end, and I looked wrong.
The Jets, I think, look, you've got guys who are auditioning for next year, especially Aaron Rodgers. He played well in Miami.
He did.
And even though he has this idea, or at least he feels like he has to say it, that the Jets will bring him back, they're not going to bring him back next year. They're not going to want him back. New regime isn't going to want him back. He's not going to want to be back. This is about him playing well enough to land somewhere else next year, and I think he will. I've got 20-14 Jets win, and this falls into the category of games where, let's see, here's the problem. Last week, the Jaguars-Titans game was over on the far right corners. We're watching all of the screens at NBC. Nobody gave a shit about Jaguars-Titans. I hardly looked at it. There's more compelling games on. This week, the 1 o'clock games, good luck finding one that's compelling. Chiefs-Browns, maybe just because of the Chiefs' reputation of playing with their food, and Jameis is fun. But there's no game with 2 teams, both who are in it, and that's one where both aren't. All right, next up, Commanders coming off of their bye week. 7.5-point favorites against the Saints. It's going to be Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler in place of Derek Carr. Saints still alive. Darren Rizzi, the Riz, he believes. 86% of the spread money is on Washington. Are you, Christopher?
I am definitely on Washington
as well.
Yeah, I'm on Washington. I got respect for this Saints defense and what they're doing. Right, they've showed they got size and physicality up front. They got some creative defenses they play. I can see them giving Washington some problems in certain drives and having a few stale moments and all that. But all in all, Washington, they've been pretty efficient all year long. Jaden Daniels takes care of the football. He's not an impatient quarterback, which I think is going to be key in a game like this against the New Orleans Saints. You're going to have some plays. You got to take the 5-yard completion. They will play a few aggressive defenses where you'll have your opportunity to go, now's the time for me to make a big play. The Saints, without Derek Carr and the whole issue there, no Taysom Hill, I just don't expect enough out of their offense. I think that's what I worry about more than anything. And I don't know if we know for sure with Derek Carr yet, but it doesn't seem like it's trending that way. So I'm picking this as I'm expecting him not to play, and I'm going to take the Commanders 23-13 in this one.
Back in 2012, when RG3 became the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Week 1, the Washington franchise was at New Orleans. They won 40-32, and it was a barn burner. It was a hell of a game. I don't know that this will be quite as compelling, but I think the Commanders will win. I think the Saints are overmatched at this point. The balloon is finally going to pop. They made a nice run under Darren Rizzi. I think he's done enough that he should at least get serious consideration, fair consideration, along with other candidates to be the head coach going forward. But I've got the Commanders in this one, 24-13. They understand the stakes. You take your bye week, and you're feeling pretty good going into it about where you stand in relation to the rest of the NFC contenders who are trying to pull their way into it. And then it's like, wait a minute. There's a few 7-6 teams out there we got to worry about now. We're 8-5. They'll take care of the Saints and then continue their push for the postseason. Ravens at the Giants. Ravens are favored by 16 points. The over-under is 42.5. This is the biggest spread of the season so far. No other game has been above 14. 81% of the spread money is on Baltimore. When it was announced that Tommy Gabagool DeVito would be starting, the line moved like 2 more points in the Ravens' direction. That's disrespect for the Italian Stallion. Are you on the Ravens, and do you think they'll win by more than 16?
Yes. Any more questions you want to ask me about the Ravens? Yes. Ravens. Yes. Right? I mean, yeah. I don't look at it and go, oh, this is a good thing, Tommy. I mean, Tommy DeVito, you're just at the point where, oh, maybe Drew Lock can get in a rhythm or do something and start really playing good. And it's like, oh, boom, we're going back to the other guy who was just trying to find his rhythm a few weeks but couldn't even take all the hits he was taking. And now we're going to throw him out there against the Ravens, fresh, off a bye week. Probably recalibrated some things on the defensive side of the ball. We know the Ravens, they can stop you from running the football. The Giants, that's maybe one of their more positive things to do. How can you really have any faith in anything the Giants do offensively? There's nothing there. And then on the other side of the ball, it's one of the best offenses in football. We know that. The Ravens, the Giants might have a few moments of making them look ugly. They got a few playmakers on that defensive front. We know that. But, damn, the Ravens are in a different class. The Giants feel like they've given up. It's Ravens 30-10.
Yeah, I think the Ravens will blow them off the field. Before the Ravens lost to the Eagles, the only time Lamar Jackson had lost to an NFC team was at the Giants a few years back.
Right.
The Giants just aren't equipped to compete with the Ravens right now. They're playing out the string. They're getting out of Dodge. Who knows what Cohen or John Mara is eventually going to do with that organization. The only thing they know is Bill Belichick no longer hovers as a potential alternative to Brian Daboll and Joe Shane running the show. I've got 34-13 Ravens. It should be a laugher. The Ravens are trying to, they're trying to set the stage for a run at the AFC North Championship. Hell, and I know that this is common, but I got the email yesterday that Ravens home playoff tickets are for sale. It's a little presumptuous. They got to win that division. And if they don't beat the Giants, they ain't going to win that division. I think they will do it easily. Bengals at the Titans, last game in the early window. Cincinnati favored by 5. Short week for them. They were in Dallas, had to go home, going to Nashville. Titans are not very good. Will Levis banged up a little bit, although he says he's fine. 85% of the spread money is Cincinnati. Again, they're given 5, 46.5 over under. Tennessee is an NFL worst, 2-11 against the spread this season. Who you got?
This is one where I'm not going to lie. I thought about an upset. I think this is one where, again, the matchup bodes well for Tennessee. That's what I look at a little. One, right? Brian Callahan, old team. He's going to know some of the things of how Joe Burrow operates and what he wants to do, let alone he's going to have the motivation, and the team's going to know the motivation of like wanting their new head coach to beat the old team. There's always that goes on in a building. Get your guys back, show the old team how good you are here in your new spot, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you hear me say it every week. I got a lot of respect for this Titans defense. They're tough. I don't think they'll have to worry about the run game. I don't think Cincinnati will be able to run the ball on them at all, and it'll make it a passing football game. And I think they can be annoying as far as Joe Burrow is concerned, whether he gets protected or people open. And then on the other side, again, everybody can move the ball in the Bengals, so no game is ever going to be like, oh, whoa, out of it. I think Tennessee will be able to run the ball on the Bengals a little bit, and I would expect, again, that Brian Callahan knows Lou Anarumo's defense and has a little more success than we're accustomed to seeing from the Tennessee Titans. Having said all that, I still can't pick the Tennessee Titans. I thought about it. It's one of those I'd say, hey, if there's an upset this week, this could be it. But I'm going to go Bengals 23-21. I am going to have the Titans cover the spread.
Wow, I got 27-16 Bengals. This is one of those, I'm pissed at you because you made me look stupid last week, and I don't need any help looking stupid. But I thought the Titans would beat the Jaguars. They didn't. It was 6-0, then all of a sudden it's 10-6.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Yeah.
Titans it's lifeless. It's done. Bengals are playing for something. This is just one of those late season games. One team's playing for something, one team isn't, and the Bengals are better than their record would suggest. I think if the Bengals had won a couple more games, this would be like a 7, 8, 9-point spread. I got the Bengals 27-16. I think they win. I think they cover. I think we take a break. Up next, maybe the best late afternoon, non-week 18 or week 17, last week of the season, Sunday slate we've ever seen. We'll break down those games when PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned, delivered by Little Caesars, continues right after.
Pizza.
DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app and use promo code PFTLive when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours, and as always, please bet responsibly, only with money that you can afford to lose, because if you listen to me, you probably will. All right, it's the PFTPM Chris Simms Unbuttoned Picks podcast, delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Pizza.
I may get something different tonight. I got to go Crazy Puffs plus something else. I can't just go and only get Crazy Puffs. $3.99. I just feel weird only spending $3.99.
Well, what about pizza? There's like a, it doesn't go well with it.
Crazy Puffs and pizza, I like a contrast to the Crazy Puffs. They've got like Italian cheesy bread or something like that. My son says that's really good. I got to try something. I got to try something different to go along with the Crazy Puffs. The Crazy Puffs they're like little pepperoni muffins. They are so freaking good. And one order's enough. 4 little pepperoni muffins with a nice little crust on the top.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the munchies.
Well, I always have the munchies by the time I get to the day. I don't eat much during the day, so by the time I get to dinner time, I'm really, really hungry, and we're going to do it tonight as the Rams and the 49ers get started. All right, late games. Patriots at the Cardinals. Arizona favored by 6. They've lost 3 in a row. The Patriots are 3-10. Yeesh. Over-under's 46. Who you like?
I like Arizona. I do. Arizona, we know. We've kind of talked about this. I think it's all showing the things we've been concerned about all year. They just don't have enough playmakers on either side of the ball. Thank God they didn't make any trades or do anything during the trade deadline. So, but they're still a better football team than the New England Patriots. Drake May and his ability to make some plays and big throws down the field definitely scares me. It does. But I look at this and the big thing for me with Arizona is always is this a team they can run the football on? And I do believe they'll be able to run the football on New England. And when they do that, that's when there is some space with some of these receivers who aren't great against man-to-man, or Trey McBride starts to get play-action passes down the middle. I'll take the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to go 28-21 in this one.
I got 23-10 Cardinals. I mean, the Patriots are they're not good. They're not good. They got a lot of work to do to become contenders again. And I think there was a report this week that the Patriots brass are taking a closer look at the final year of Gerard Mayo's time as an assistant. I have sensed all along this year, there are moments where he'll say something, he'll do something that, could he be one and done? Because he inherited that job instantly. They had a deal in place before Bill Belichick left. He was going to be next up. So these last few games may be very important to whether or not he's back. Because 3-14 feels a lot different than 7-10. Not that they're going to win 4 in a row or lose 4 in a row, but you get my point.
Yep.
And this is going to either be 3-11 or 4-10. I think it's going to be 3-11 after this game. Colts at the Broncos. Denver, favored by 4 coming out of the bye. Over-under of 44. According to DraftKings, 82% of the spread money is on Denver. The Broncos are 10-3 against the spread this season, tied for best in the league with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Colts are 8-5 against the spread, despite being 6-7. Who do you like?
I like Denver here, but again, this will not be one that I'm going to pick with a best bet. I'm not. Indianapolis, the way they play defense, I think it's going to be hard for Sean Payton and company to figure out how to create big plays against the Gus Bradley defense and draw up things that you go, ooh, this will be perfect for them. Indianapolis, as you've heard me say before, right? They're simple, but because they're simple, they kind of know what teams want to do when they're in certain defenses to try to expose them. So they're very much aware of where their weak spots are, and that's one of the beauties of having a simple defense. The other side, I certainly think Denver's defense has the advantage, but with as aggressive as Denver plays on that side of the ball, it does scare me a little bit. One, this is a Colts team that we've seen can run the ball a little bit, and of course can do that with the quarterback design runs and some of the things off of that. So that's scary. And the other thing we know is Anthony Richardson might miss a bunch of 5 and 8 yard throws, but he's going to get a few opportunities to make some 50-yard throws, and that seems to be when he strikes. And Denver will give you some opportunities like that, and I expect they will in this game, especially because I think their number one priority is going to be don't let the run game of the Colts and the O-line and Anthony Richardson start to overpower us. Let's make the pass game beat us. I think that the Colts keep this uncomfortably close, but can't win this football game when it's all said and done. I'm going to go Broncos 24-20.
Oh, I thought we had a bingo-bango, but we don't. 24-17 is what I have here. I think the Broncos understand the moment that is confronting them. It's the opportunity that's being presented to them. Coming out of the late bye, Bo Nix no longer a rookie. He's got even more experience. He's gotten better and better and better. Sean Payton's going to have them ready for this. Sean Payton's going to have them ready for this stretch run. They got the short week against the Chargers. They got a little extra time to get ready for the Bengals. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to win this game to basically knock out the Colts in their effort to try to take one of those spots. 24-17, Denver Broncos win. All right, Bills-Lions. Possible Super Bowl preview rematch from a Thanksgiving Day game from a couple of years ago. The Lions are favored by 2.5. They got the extra rest. The Bills had the 44-42 loss to the Rams. Over under 54.5. It's the highest of the season. The prior high was Cincinnati-Baltimore, Week 10, 53.5. They combined for 69 points. You had picked Detroit to win every week of the season, except last week when you picked the Packers. Go Lions. Are you picking the Lions again?
I'm going back on the Lions. I am. I don't think this is I think this will be an awesome game. I think the over should be thought about. Like I said with the Bills-Rams game last week, I said I thought it would be a shootout, and we got a shootout. I think it's the same thing here. I don't think there's any other option for the Bills. The Bills are not going to be able to stop Detroit's offense. When the Bills have to play a offense with a big, powerful offensive line, and then they have just a passing game that has a little creativity, they're in a big bind. A big bind. And you saw that last week, and that's pretty true throughout the last few years with them. And again, they're not going to be able to stop the run. They don't play man-to-man well at all. So they'll get beat doing that. I expect Detroit to move the ball up and down the field on them. Now, the other side of that, with the Detroit injuries and how they play, I think that the Buffalo Bills will move the ball in the Lions defense. One, Josh Allen's amazing, as we know. He's one of the greatest talents we've ever seen. Detroit doesn't have pass rushers to contain him. There's no speed guys there that when he gets out of the pocket, he's going to have a little extra time than he normally does when he gets out of the pocket. Let alone, I think Josh Allen finally has a supporting cast and company that if it's a shootout, they can possibly pull it out. As in the past, I used to go, oh my gosh, Josh Allen's going to have to be so amazing to make this shootout work. Now, he can throw a ball to Khalil Shakir for a 10-yard gain, and he can break a bunch of tackles and get a 50-yard gain. Matt Collins and some of these guys can beat people deep, Amari Cooper. So that's where they're different. But still, I'm going to go Lions 41-38.
Wow. Really?
I'm going way.
Really?
Right.
Are on the over.
I am.
79 points.
Yeah.
Good Lord. When they played 2 years ago, it was 28-25 Buffalo at a time when the Lions were 4-6 entering the game. The Bills were 7-3. This time around, it's different. The Lions have that vibe. The Lions are that team, although they really haven't been blowing people out. They've got 3 huge wins. They've got 7 games decided by a score or less. I think this one's going to be close. I still think the Lions cover. I've got it by a field goal just like you do. I've got 30-27. But either way, it should be a great game. That Lions offensive line is good enough to steamroll the Bills. And I think what we're going to see is the Lions will kind of slow the game down some. Although they're not going to try to make it 4 corners, North Carolina, Dean Smith. It's not going to be, I think, huge, ridiculous scoring because of the ability of the Lions to control the line of scrimmage, run the ball, have methodical drives, get their points, and then force the Bills to try to match that. So 30-27, I think the Lions win. And the Bills are going to have to scramble for 2 seed versus 3 seed, which, depending upon how the wild card plays out, could put you in a much tougher spot. It could put the Bills in a spot where maybe they got the Ravens coming to town.
Oh, and that would
instead
be bad.
of a team like the Broncos in the wild card round.
Hey, for the Bills, I mean, the top teams in football are the worst matchups for them, and I know that people go, well, duh, but the way they play is tough matchups. The Ravens, the Eagles, the Lions, they're going to be tough, right? The Bills are going to be better against teams that like the Chiefs, where, they want to run the ball a little bit so they can go all in on the run. But, there's no people to worry about that's scary in the pass game. So they can find one area to kind of gamble in and go all in on. When they got to play the Ravens, they get blown out. Oh, they got to play the Rams. They can do the same type of thing. Oh, they let up 45 points, right? I expect the same thing. Here's one thing I know we're going to move on to the next game, but I want to ask you this. I think the Bills are at the point here where you heard me say this about other teams in the past. Stop playing these zone slow death defenses. Stop. The best player on your team is the quarterback of your football team. There's too many times last game, in the Rams game specifically and other games, where he's over there by the Gatorade bottle all day long, right? Get blitz, shit or get off the pot. Do something. I'm so sick of that. But we're going to play zone and make them work and do okay, that's to a point. But with some of these high functioning offenses, they go down and score every time. So how about not just take some gambles and see if you can make something negative happen and maybe get a turnover or get the ball? And if not, they go down and score, but at least Josh Allen's not on the bench for 17 minutes. They do it too much. I got to think they got to reevaluate that in these type of football games. It's what I'm going to be watching for at 425.
That's a great point. And I've never thought how ridiculous that phrase is because nobody's voluntarily lingering on the pot. You're only there if you've got some sort of medical issue that is causing you to not be able to do the thing that you're there to do. Of all the seats in the house to choose from, it's the least comfortable. All right, Buccaneers at the Chargers. Chargers are favored by 2.5. We talked about this one earlier. This is one of those, as I'm going about my day, in the days preceding the Picks podcast, it'll flash into my brain. Who the f*** am I going to take in that one? Bucks or the Chargers? Because the Bucks have looked good lately. The Chargers, this weird mixed bag. They're always competitive, but sometimes they win and sometimes they don't. They're favored by 2.5 with an over-under 45. Playoff implications for both teams. Who you got?
It is a tough one, right? I think I look at it. You said it. The Bucks playing good lately. It's 3 in a row. But, I also want to go, the Giants game, that was impressive. Carolina could have lost, should have lost last week. I know you won 28-13, but you and I both know it was 14-10, and the Raiders were inside the 10-yard line looking like they were about to take over the game, and Aiden O'Connell threw one of the dumbest interceptions of the week. So that's where I worry about the Bucs a little bit. I'm like, yeah, they're winning, but I'm not sure how quality or high-quality football they're playing. And I think this is the week where the rubber meets the road and the fact that they're playing a really good defense and there's not a pure, consistent number 2 receiver that pops out. Maybe it'll be Jalen McMillan like we saw last week, but still not that guy that I'm ready to write home about other than Mike Evans. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball with the success they usually do. And then you know what I think about the Bucs defense. I don't think it's very good. And even though this Chargers offense is not super awesome, I think this is the type of offense they can move it, or defense they can move it on. I'm going to go Chargers 27-23, Mike.
Oh, man.
Bingo, bongo?
I got 24-21.
Oh,
no bingo, bongo. No bingo, bango this week. 24-21 is what I have. And I agree with you on all fronts. And there's just enough possibility of the Bucs pissing down their leg, making a big mistake. The Chargers are more meat and potatoes right down the middle.
That's right.
They'll keep it close.
You know what you're going to get.
They need this more than the Bucs, although the Bucs will fall back into a tie with the Falcons if the Falcons win on Monday night. I just feel like this is one of those where, yeah, the Bucs have kind of dug out of it. This is going to be a little bit too much to expect because the Chargers really, really need this one, and they're not a bad team, and the Bucs have been struggling with bad teams. Steelers-Eagles, last game in an awesome late afternoon window for Week 15. Steelers are 5.5 points underdogs, or 5.5 point underdogs. They haven't won in Philadelphia since I was 4 months old, October of 1965, over under of 42.5. Pittsburgh is 10-3 against the spread this season. That's tied for the best in the NFL. I am 9-4 straight up and 9-4 against the spread in Steelers games. Who do you have?
Well, this is like your new Vikings. Go ahead. You started off since you're a Mr. Pittsburgh Steeler fan. I feel like the Vikings and Steelers, you should always lead it off.
I think back to last year when the Eagles were 9 games over 500, when the 49ers came to town for a key December late afternoon game.
Right.
That was when it all started to fall apart for the Philadelphia Eagles. We still don't know exactly what happened. I almost feel like, even though it's a lot of PR, talking points, bullcrap, I feel like the fact that the Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown stuff hit the fan, whatever the stuff is, whatever it is, it hit the fan. It's out in the open. They all know everyone's paying attention. It's almost like, let's prove to the world this isn't an issue. It doesn't solve whatever the issue might be, but let's show it's not an issue. They've got Saquon Barkley. The Steelers don't. The Steelers apparently won't have George Pickens. That's a problem. I just think if this was in Pittsburgh, I'd be on board with my, according to you, second favorite team. This is in Philly. The Eagles are chasing the Lions. The Eagles understand that everyone's scrutinizing them now. I think they rise to the moment. They rise to the occasion. I'm not giving them the cover, though. 5.5 is too much. 23-20, Eagles win the game, maybe on a late field goal. But I don't think that it's going to be more than 5.5 points, whatever the outcome. 23-20, Philadelphia.
And we know it's for sure Pickens. I mean, is that like where is that officially at?
The way that Mike Tomlin was talking about it on Tuesday, it sure sounds like we're not going to see him, but it's not official yet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Either way, that would worry me, and of course that would even sway me more into the Philadelphia's favor. Pittsburgh defense, we know, is damn good. We got that right, but this is a different animal in which they're facing. As good as they are at stopping the run and all of that, even against the Eagles, you got to put more people in to stop the run. I don't care how good you are, because they're just that big and that powerful up front, and he's that damn good at running back. And then these are usually the games where there's another play or two as far as quarterback design runs for Jalen Hurts in this type of football game. I think to your point, too, like, they're going to go a little bit extra out of the way to get the offense off this week, without a lack of a better way to say it, get A.J. Brown and that going. I think it is, to your point, I think it's going to be more of a motivational thing this time around for Philly rather than last year dysfunction fall apart. I'm going to look at it that way. And then here's my biggest question, Mike, especially if they don't have George Pickens. Are the Steelers going to be able to move the ball in the Eagles? That's what I really worry about. I mean, again, the Eagles, they like to play zone, but they can play man-to-man. And this is not like the most overly complicated passing offense in the world. And I don't expect the Steelers to be able to run the ball in Philadelphia. I think Philly's going to whoop that ass. I'm going to take them 27-14.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a slow beatdown.
See. We'll see if it's an ass-whooping or a close Philadelphia victory, or maybe the Steelers can find a way to pull it off. We'll take a break. When we return, primetime games, including Packers-Seahawks on Sunday night and yet another Monday night doubleheader. God help us. More PFT, PM, and Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
All right, DraftKings Sportsbook is the number one place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your bets win. Download the app and use promo code UNBUTTONED when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
All right, it's the PFT PM, Chris Simms Unbuttoned, joint Mega Picks podcast delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the National Football League.
Pizza.
And I will be going there tonight to get Crazy Puffs and something else. I don't know what the something else is yet, but I'm getting Crazy Puffs plus something else. All right, we got a motor. Packers at the Seahawks. Packers favored by 3, over under 45.5. Who do you got?
I think it's a really interesting matchup. I do. I mean, one, we know Green Bay, the way they run the football, nobody's running the football in Seattle Seahawks lately. Nobody. So that's going to be the thing here. Seattle, I think, is going to be the first team here in a while that's going to be able to put the onus, right? Pressure, whatever, on Jordan Love. It's going to be like Jordan Love is going to have to throw the football to win the football game. It still feels like a little bit like they're scared to unleash him right now with the way he's playing and maybe the way he's practicing. And that game last week, it was a lot of points scored, but he only threw the ball 20 times, right? That, to me, shows that they're riding the run game hard. But with all that, though, I like Seattle's – I wish Seattle's offense had a little bit more surgicality to it. It's too big play-oriented. I just think the Packers are a better football team when all's said and done. I'm going to have the Packers winning this one. I picked a 24-21. I'll say 26-21 Packers.
I've got 27-23 Packers. The Packers are the better team, I believe. The Seahawks have won 4 in a row. They can't be completely dismissed.
No.
But I think the Packers have that quality that could carry them all the way to the Super Bowl if it falls their way. They've lost 4 games this year to teams that are a combined 34-5.
Yeah, the best teams in
amazing
football.
When you think about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I believe the Packers will get to 10 wins, even if the chances of them getting to a division title are slim and none. And they might have to go back to Seattle in the wild card round.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll see how that plays out. But it's going to be 2 of these teams with superior records going to NFC South, NFC West champions. So we're going to have 2, not 1. Usually it's just 1. We're going to have 2 of these where we say something's not right here because that team's got to go on the road is a lot better.
Hey,
right,
to your point, too, with the Packers and their schedule, the Seahawks, what's their marquee win of the year, right? That was one of the things that swayed me. What is it, the 49ers a few weeks ago?
49ers.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, a 6-7 football team. That's their marquee win of the year. The Packers are ready, and I think that's a great point by you. I just wanted to second that.
All right, they did beat the Broncos in week 1, but that was before the Broncos were any good.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
At Bo Nick's debut.
Exactly.
Yada, yada.
That
all right,
count.
Bears at Vikings.
Right.
Monday night, Vikings at home. Winter Warrior uniforms, not to be confused with the Winter Warlock, which I think was part of the Year Without a Santa Claus. I think the Winter Warlock was in that show as well. It all kind of comes back. It's the weave. All right, 6.5 points, 43.5 over-under. I'm 11-2 straight up in Vikings games this year and 10-3 against the spread. I guess you want me to go first.
You know it.
Look, the last time these teams played, I picked the Bears to win, also to cover. I was right on the cover by a half point. Thank you. Thank you, half point. Don't need to worry about the half point this time around. Vikings 31-17. The Bears are just, I think they were broken by that debacle on Thanksgiving.
I think so, too.
They're just done. And this season's done. And watch, they're going to win on Monday night. But I think the Vikings, everything's lining up. And if the Bills should happen to beat the Lions, ooh, boy, it creates an opening for the Vikings to forge a tie at the top, not just of the NFC North, but the entire NFC. Vikings 31-17.
All right, Kristen, play it. Play it.
Bingo, bango.
Yeah! Bingo,
Oh,
bango!
yeah!
Woo!
We got
That's right. 31-17 Vikings. I'm right here with you. Bingo, bango. Yep.
Bingo, bango, bingo.
I'm with you all the way there. You said a lot of the right things. Maybe the one thing that scares me is the weather, how cold and windy it might be there, and I didn't even look at that totally, but I expected it to be cold.
Chris.
Yeah.
Chris.
Oh, it's in Minnesota. I'm an idiot.
It can be very cold and windy. That's right.
That's
There
2
could be
today.
snow up the wazoo.
Where I just started this go, oh, wait, the elements might bother me. Let me bring that up real quick. Okay, don't listen to that part of Chris. Either way, it's 2 teams going, boom, totally different directions, like you said. It feels like Minnesota's offense is going upwards right now. How can Sam Darnold and everybody on that side of the ball not feel totally crazy confident in what they're seeing right now? And I'm with you. The Bears just seem broken. That was it. The final straw, that Lions game, everything that went on there. Bingo, bango, 31-17.
The Vikings woke up at some point in the second half of that Cardinals game, and something flipped, and I think they're going to keep riding it, at least for now. Okay, Falcons at the Raiders. I like it. A Kirk Cousins giving 4 points to Las Vegas. Over under a 44. Aiden O'Connell's in an air cast on Sunday, and Mr. Miyagi comes around. He's ready to go out there and take on the Cobra Kai in the form of Kirk Cousins. 27-17. Falcons get off the schneid. They end the 4-game losing streak. And if they should lose this one, it's time to go to Michael Penix Jr. It's time to tell Kirk Cousins to pack up his stuff and go to San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan or somewhere else. He won't. Right now, it's looking like he won't be back next year. If they blow this one, he definitely won't be back.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you on everything you said there. If Aiden O'Connell is back, this game will be uncomfortable for the Falcons. That would be my assessment. Now, real quickly on what you said, we've seen a lot of guys this year lay on the ground for 10 minutes and go off on the injury cart or get carried off the football field and then come back 2 plays later. They're like blowing my mind off, right? A guy who was bleeding out, dying on the same field last week. I'm like, wait, what? When I read that on Monday, like the cart came out, we stopped the game for 10 minutes because of a bruise. Like I was shocked. But either way, the Falcons are not going to be able to move the ball consistently on this Raiders defense. You saw last week, those first 2 drives, the Bucks, they move the ball, and then things slow down. They adjust. They play pretty good on that side. And between Jacoby Myers and Bowers and a little bit of the run game and this Trey Tucker, they got a little weaponry at offense. I think they keep it uncomfortably close and at least cover, but I'm going to go Falcons win 23-20.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, best bets plus Folsom Prison or Folsom County Blues picks and a rejoin that you will enjoy. Next on PFT PM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
Sounds like I'm being set up.
My baby up. You're looking at the new face of Crazy Bread, all right? Little Caesars, y'all. Say your big line boats.
Pizza, comma, pizza.
It's the PFTVM Chris Simms Unbuttoned Picks podcast delivered by Little Caesars.
Pizza. Oh, sorry. I dropped it. I was sitting here. I was trying to look up her name because I couldn't remember her last name.
Heidi Gardner.
I knew it was Heidi.
Gardner.
I met her
Heidi
this
Gardner
year.
and
she couldn't
Marcelo
have been cooler.
Hernandez.
Week 1. She's a big football fan, as you know. The Chiefs. She made me feel like she really knew me. So I like her extra more now.
Pizza, comma, pizza. Give me your first best bet.
Okay, my first best bet, I'm going to go with that Lions-Bills over. I don't do this often. I'm going to ride my original thought. I said it last week that the Bills would be in an over-type shootout. I think it'll happen this weekend. I'm going.
I go with themes now because nothing else is working for me. Road Dog Weekend.
Whoa!
Road Dog. Not road. Cowboys getting 3 in Carolina. Go.
All right, you're raw dogging it there, huh? The road dog? All right, I'm going to go with the Ravens. Okay, I know it's 16 points, but the Giants are a disaster, and I got them winning by 20. I think it could be worse.
Dolphins. Road Dog at the Texans getting 3.
I thought about this. This was one of mine. I don't know. I guess there's just something I don't trust with the Texans coming off the bye week and all that, so I chickened out. I'm going to go with the Eagles against your Steelers. Yeah, they're going to cover that 5.5.
Ooh. I was torn between Steelers or Bills. Road Dog. I'm going Bills. That was the one I decided beforehand. 2.5 because the Lions, they don't beat anybody good by more than 2 points. No, wait a minute. It's 2.5. Sorry. Give me the Steelers. And give me the Ravens, Folsom Prison.
The Ravens for Folsom County for me, too. Pizza. Don't raw dog it, Florio.
Pizza, comma, pizza.
Yo, homies, thanks for watching. Yeah, it's time. The NFL season is here on Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
You can hit subscribe to get all the weekly picks, plus our Sunday recaps as the games are happening.
Oh, you know it. Nobody does that better than us. Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out. We'll see you next time on Unbuttoned.